Hello and welcome back to the last episode of New Sound Pod for 2022. You've just heard Cure, the new single from this episode's guest, Jenson Tagg. Jenson is a singer-songwriter from West Sussex who's been categorised as country by indie artists and indie by country artists. That's for you to make up your mind when you listen to more of his material. We spoke to Jenson from his home in West Sussex and found out about his approach to writing, his collaboration with Courtney Andrews on the title track of his new EP, Come Home, his influences, and of course the dinner party guests. Jenson also plays a live number in the middle, Walk On By. Jenson, thank you very much for coming on to the New Sound Pod.
All right, thank you for having me.
Great to see you. First thing I'm going to ask you, you're a West Sussex boy. Are you from Crawley?
That's where I'm living now. Yeah, I live in Ifield. But originally, born in Redhill, lived in Smallfield for 21 years. And then on my 21st birthday, moved to Hawley. And then from Hawley, it's Ifield now.
So do you find yourself playing in and around that area? You've obviously been down to Brighton and played, have you?
A couple of times, yeah, with in a full band capacity. I've played down there.
Oh, okay.
A couple of years ago, before the pandemic and everything. But yeah, it's mainly London seems to be the place that I find gigs in. But I'd love to do more gigs in Brighton. But again, it's like I had like a list from my old band days of all the old promoters and the venues and stuff, and it seemed whenever I was everything's changed.
Just change, yeah.
Venues were closed down and all that sort of thing. So I was a bit out of the loop when I tried to get back on it with the.
Well, I've been looking at your stuff on YouTube, listening to you on Spotify, obviously, and I do notice that you're with Anna Howie, and you're playing with her in Hawley at some point.
I hope so, yeah, because I was doing
the hop sessions.
Yeah, something.
Okay.
She did. She put on a gig at the Archway in Hawley, the little sort of theatre by the station, and it looks like it's a nice little intimate venue, which is right up my street. If I'm doing like solo acoustic, nice and intimate. But yeah, so I came across her from doing a radio show for Meridian FM, and they played her, and I was like, oh, who's that? And I was like, is she local? And they're like, yeah. And so I've never heard of her. So straight on Spotify and the internet and Instagram and everything. And then followed her and all that because I loved the song that they played. And yeah, then I saw recently that she's putting on gigs in Hawley. So I messaged her and just said, I'd love to do it. And she was like, yeah, she was up for it. I think it seems like it's a bit stop-start at the moment. I don't know if it's a regular. It was only the first one that I saw. Right.
She's got a great album out, Friday Night Club. You should check that one out. Nice plug for Anna. But with regard to Jenson Tagg, you've just released your recent single, which we came in with, Cure. That was released on the 19th of this month?
Yes. Yeah, last Friday, yeah.
And before that, you had a couple of EPs last year. And one was a ukulele EP, which I love. The one, Come Home, it's got 5 tracks on it.
Yeah,
there's so much in that EP, and that was really, I suppose, the focus of my listening of your material.
Oh, cool! I'm glad you like that. That's probably with those songs. Like some of them were songs that I play live that I'd recorded years and years ago, so they're quite old, those songs on there. Mm-hmm. But I want, and how we played them live, it sort of changed the arrangement a bit and updated them. So I re-recorded them and wanted to put them on an EP because they weren't part of any album or anything like that I've done. So I was like, I do want to keep playing these songs live. So it's like I need to have a kind of, I want to have them online somewhere for people to listen to. If they ever see me and go, oh, I like that song, I want to listen to it. I mean, I want it available for people. But so yeah, we re-recorded them. But yeah, I'd say that EP means as much to me as any album that I've done. Like I know people say, oh, it's only an EP or whatever, like just a couple of tracks, but only 5 songs. But yeah, those songs mean a lot. They're the ones that have stuck over the years.
Oh, nice. Okay. And then the title track of that EP, Come Home, thinking of how you would do that one live. Obviously, it was recorded with
Courtney.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes,
Yeah.
it was recorded with Courtney, who I take it resides in the States.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, I'm not sure whereabouts.
Well, you'll have to ask Anna. Maybe she'll record that one live with you.
Because normally it's just one of the other guys that will do her harmony. If we ever do play it live. But yeah, I do shy away from playing that one live actually at the moment, even though it's probably my favourite song.
That's a shame. That's such a shame.
But
how did you? Sorry.
So go on.
How did you get to record that with her? Was she over here touring and you?
Yeah, so it was a few years back. She wasn't as well known as she is now, like on the Americana scene. But yeah, I can't remember how I found out about her, but I had a bad back. I was practically bedbound and I was really struggling to get to sleep. And I just wanted to like listen to something calming and soothing, and then came across an album which has since been deleted. I don't know why, but it was it was an album that I fell in love with at the time, and it was like not to the point where it's like, oh, it's boring, it's putting me to sleep. Nothing, but it's like,
I did wonder. How did you break that to somebody?
Yeah, it was like it was relaxing. Put it that way. And it was nice.
Sure.
I get the same thing when I listen to Nick Drake. It's like he's very, very nice to listen to if you need to go to sleep but you're not quite tired enough, and then it's just a nice relaxing sound. But I had the song anyway, and I came across her online somewhere. I really loved her voice, so I just messaged her and said, I've got this song, I'd love for you to sing on it. I can send you the song, blah blah blah. And she was like, yeah, cool, yeah, send it over and I'll see what I can do, sort of thing. Because like I was imagining she would record it her end and then send her vocals back.
Sure.
And then a couple of days later, she put a thing saying, I'm going on tour of Europe. Is there anyone who could put me and my friend up, like while she's going to and from venues? And I just messaged her and was like, can stay in my studio if you want, like camp beds on the floor and stuff. Yeah, she was like, yeah, and that'd be a good opportunity to record your song. So that's what they did. They stayed twice. So the second time, the first time they came, like we basically spent the evening doing that song and then just went out for a drink. And then the second time when she was coming back down, I think she went up north and then was coming back down south again, they stopped by mine again. And then I just spent that evening recording demos for her, of songs that ended up on her Honest Life album, which then broke. No, I'm not saying I had any part of it. I just recorded demos.
Yeah.
But and then she was discovered, if you like, in a London show, and then it all kicked off for her from there. That album changed everything for her.
Fantastic. Isn't it great? A musicians network, how it works.
Yeah, I mean, it was great to hear those songs. So I was really into her at the time anyway. But I was listening to her. She had already had a few albums out, so I was listening a lot. And yeah, so it was great to hear those songs first time before, and then obviously when the album comes out, seeing how it had gone into production and hearing what they had done with it.
Yes,
yeah, sure. To hear them in the purest form.
Yeah.
I was thinking it's the closest I've come to of like being in the 70s or something. It's like in a studio with someone amazing that is just an absolute pro as well. It was like having Joni Mitchell in the room or something like that.
Wow, what a compliment.
It was amazing. I felt very out of my depth.
It was great, and one hit as well.
Pretty much. She came in and she listened back to it and she was like, okay, I've got a harmony. Went out there and did the low one, sort of a lower harmony in the chorus, and nailed it first time. I was like, have you got another one? And she was like, yeah, and did another one. And then we stacked the ones there's like a breakdown, and then you just hear like it's my voice plus 3 of her voices.
Yes.
Overdubbed in harmony. We did that. And then I was like, could you do one singing along with me? Like the words for 2 verses. And then she did that. The only trouble that we had with it or that she had, is because it sort of slows down at the end and she has to match my voice in time. And because that wasn't done to a click or anything, it was a struggle to try and get her to fit right. I mean, it's like it's a slow, like slows down towards the end. And
thanks for describing that, because that's the track that we lead out with, and now when I listen to it again, when the listeners listen to it, they'll go, oh yeah, I can that'll mean so much more. You've embellished an already good track.
My favorite bit of the whole song is the bit like she you can hear it at the end where she's trying to anticipate where to sing. She does like a little breath, and it's almost like she's crying at the end, even, which would suit the song, even though I don't want to ruin it, but she's not crying. But, she's just anticipating where to come in at the end. And me and James, who was helping me, James plays keyboards on all my songs, James Beckett, and he was helping me record her because I just wanted someone else there while I was in the presence of someone who I thought was amazing, just for moral support and helping me out and stuff. And when she did that little breath, we both looked at each other, and he just went, "That's staying on the record." And I was like, "Yeah,
great." Oh, that's brilliant. Moving on from that EP slightly, probably come back to that. What's the response been like to Cure, the new single that was released on the 19th?
It's been really good, actually. Yeah, there's been a few reviews and stuff, and lots of shares on social media with bloggers and things like that. Yeah, it's been really cool to see. It's like having stuff to share, like every day, every other day.
Good. Is that one of many tracks that's going on to either an album or another EP?
No. This one is purely just a standalone.
I was hoping to get a spoiler there.
No, it's a standalone single, which I've not done before, and it was almost written. Well, but it was written specifically for it because I'm doing a lot of stuff with a company called B-Side at the moment. They're a very young sort of company. I think they're about 2 years going now. But they do cool stuff. Like the other day, just last week, we got to record at Rack Studios. I just went in and did like a live track. That was a nice little day out. We've done live to vinyl sessions, which is
live to vinyl. Yes, yeah, my previous guest did a live to vinyl where you get the public to say, "Hey, could you record Make Me Smile?" And you record Make Me Smile specially for them, and maybe put a message on the vinyl. Have I got that right?
No, it's not that.
I've got that wrong. Right?
It's similar. It's just like a nice little thing and they do gigs in Wimbledon Brewery a lot, so I've done a few gigs there and with them, and but then they did a sort of little competition thing with like a spinny wheel, and if it lands on your name, then you get the prize or something. And I won the prize just to record a single, basically.
Right.
And the album I'm working on at the moment is more. I'm going for more of an album feel, so it's for this. So I didn't want any songs to stand out like, oh, that's a single, and it's more of the whole. So I thought, well, I need to write something, because I haven't got, even though I've written a lot of songs during the pandemic and stuff, they're all very sort of intimate and acoustic and slow, and I was just like, oh, maybe I need to write something. So I wrote Cure pretty much specifically for this, and I'm really pleased about how it's turned out, because I mean, I can almost write on demand, if you like. If you want a song for a film about monkeys or something, I could try and write something, but I wouldn't be thrilled with it. But it's like just being a craftsman, really.
Yeah, I guess. That's interesting, because occasionally you end up asking people, well, how do you write? You know, what do you have a process? Do you think, from 5 to 6, I'm going to sit down and write a song, or do you just wander along and I've got a line, I'll just put that in my phone, or write it down and then come back later on, or I'll sit down in the morning, just strum my guitar and that sounds good. Yeah. Have you got a process, or do the things just happen for you?
It's all the above, like that you've just mentioned.
Yeah, okay.
It can be anything. It's like, mainly for me, it's mainly at night when there's no one else around, or everything's a bit quieter.
Stresses of the day have gone.
Yeah. Or you hear something and think, I want to write something like that, and then try to write something in that vein. But the best ones are the ones that do just come, like almost out of nowhere.
Yeah,
it's like we'll just be playing along and think of. It's like normally 9 times out of 10, what I'll be doing, I'll just be strumming a few chords on the guitar. I'll get a melody, and then it's like, oh, that's nice. Flesh the whole song out, and then get some kind of structure to it. Like, oh, well, this is going to be the chorus, then this is the verse, and then get a melody for everything. And then the lyrics are always last for me. Like,
okay.
Music comes first. So I've never written
music first, then lyrics, right?
Yeah, but so that's always been that way. But the ones that come quick are normally the best ones. And with Cure, it was a bit weird because it was a bit of a mixture of two. Even though I sat down specifically to write a song, it came quickly. Whereas all the time, if you tried to do something, like if you sit down and say, I'm going to write the greatest song I've ever written, nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, but then you'll just be walking along or get an idea, and then all of a sudden something's like, right, I need to get to a guitar quickly. And it's always at an awkward time.
Sure.
Right? Which is partly quite exciting about it. It's like you think, oh, I'm just about to get into bed, or like, I need to be somewhere in half an hour. And it's always like,
don't do this now, I'll forget it.
Exactly. And someone stops you in the process, like living at home with your parents or whatever. It's like, oh, can you just take the bins out? No, wait a minute. I've heard it described as, when you're onto something, it's like trying to catch a falling leaf. And I thought that's a really good way to describe it, because if you're trying to catch a leaf before it hits the ground, someone's distracting you, you're going to miss it. So that's I thought that's a really good way of describing how trying to write a song is sometimes.
That line is never going to turn up in a song, whether it's one of yours or somebody else's. Catch a falling leaf.
Yeah, that's it's not mine. I can't remember who said it.
Okay.
It's someone famous in an interview, but I can't remember who it was. But I thought that's a good way of describing it. I think Noel Gallagher calls it going fishing. Same sort of thing.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, the process is always it can be anything. But once like inspiration can strike from anywhere.
Of course.
And at any time. But like I said, the exciting thing is sometimes when it's an awkward time and you think, right, I've got to get this down.
Well, I hope this isn't an awkward time. I was wondering whether you're tuned up and you fancy playing anything.
Yeah, I could play something now.
Oh, really? Oh, great. Okay.
Just happen to have my guitar right here.
This is what I had earlier.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll play a song called Walk On By. It's normally the song that I end my shows with.
Okay, yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, I'm ready whenever you are.
Please, whenever.
Walk on by, 'cause I'm fine skipping time. I let the past become my lullaby. And if I could remain nameless,
Brilliant. Jenson, thank you very much. And that's from your 2015 album.
Well done, yeah, yes, from the first album, yeah, Bond of the Scattered Family.
Bond of the Scattered Family, brilliant name in itself. But fresh sound from a 7-year-old album, superb. And that's what you end your shows with normally.
Yeah, because it's like I am quite attracted to the sort of the darker, somber side of songwriting. But now and again, I do try and write a sort of an upbeat, bouncy thing that kind of rolls along nicely. And that's
it's funny you should say that of yourself, because if somebody, if all they heard was "Come Home,"
yeah,
they almost definitely wouldn't say that, because, like I say, there's so much for there being just 5 tracks. There's a lot in there.
Yeah, I tried to make that EP quite varied. Because I picked the one. I think the ones that I think like a lot of my recordings are quite eclectic anyway. So it's always hard to sort of pin down like if someone ever asked me like, "Oh, what style of music is it?" I was like, I don't know really. I just kind of go under singer-songwriter, because then that way I can get away with anything.
Yeah, you don't want to put yourself in a box. But having said that, do you tend to get either drawn to or categorized within the sort of Americana genre? You did actually mention Americana earlier on, which is why I said that.
Yeah, well, that's the sort of music that inspires me to write in the first place. Is a lot of Americana stuff, and I'd love to be under that umbrella. But there's stuff that's maybe a bit more rocky. It's like indie people call me country, and then country people call me indie. So I'm neither one nor the other really at the moment. So it's like I try and it's like, for instance, if you're submitting a song to BBC Introducing, and you look at the genre list to put it under, it's like I don't fit any of those. Like sure. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but yes, it's very difficult to categorize yourself, I think. Like,
sure. So it sounds like you might have to go in as indie Americana country style then.
Yeah.
With a rocky side to it. Jenson, who would you say your main influences are? If you've not necessarily trying to sound like somebody, but maybe the artist or artists that you've hooked onto the most in your career, in your youth, and you think, oh yeah, I like that track. It sounds like.
First and foremost, influence-wise, it's always been the Beatles and always will be.
Yeah, sure.
I can't, I've been into them since the age of 5, and I never ever get bored of listening to them or reading about them, or it's like they're not only for me the best band ever, but they got the best story as well. Their stories, like if it was fiction, an editor would go, "That's too unbelievable."
It's unbelievable. I wonder if anybody's ever said that about them before. That's another good line that you've come out with. If it was fiction, it'd be unbelievable. I like that.
Their stories. I mean, like, even if you don't like the Beatles, like, research their story, because it's amazing. I guess around 2012, I was getting very into sort of like the Laurel Canyon kind of singer-songwritery thing. So that's the style that that I think I want to sound like those guys. So like Neil Young, Crosby, Stills and Nash. Yeah,
they come out in some of your tracks actually. They come out.
Joni Mitchell, James Taylor. Like James Taylor's guitar playing is, I don't not say I try to emulate, but I like his finger picking style.
Sure.
So I've got a few finger picking songs. And then hearing Ryan Adams changed my life as well, in the sense that I was always struggling to find my voice, and then I learned to play a couple of his songs, and a lot of his songs have a capo on the 3rd fret. Right. And as soon as I found that, I was like, there it is, I can sing.
You found your key.
Yeah. B flat, that's the one. I think his voice suits where my voice wants to go.
Sure.
So if I try to, so it's like naturally I then try and write songs that are similar. Because I love his songs anyway. But he's been, like, in terms of my actual writing, he's probably the one that's influenced me the most in terms of what my songs come out sounding like.
Oh yeah, okay, thank you. There was just having out of interest. There was a track one of your older ones, and it was a cover by Dave Van Ronk, who you rarely hear of. You rarely hear it as "Hang Me, Oh Hang Me." Other people have covered, but to actually quote Dave Van Ronk, and I thought, oh, okay.
Well, I first heard of him through because I'm a massive Bob Dylan fan.
Oh, of course.
So,
Of course, yeah.
he appears in the Martin Scorsese documentary.
Yeah, he does.
No Direction Home.
Yeah.
So first, and it was his version of House of the Rising Sun that Bob Dylan covered. He basically covered his cover.
Yes, yeah.
It's a traditional
Lead Belly or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. And so I first heard of him, but I never heard his music until that film Inside Llewyn Davis, based on Dave Van Ronk.
Yeah.
He sings that "Hang Me, Oh Hang Me" in that film, and so then I went on a big rabbit hole of discovering all his albums as well.
Oh, okay.
Why I never bothered to find out more about him, because obviously I knew of him from that documentary.
When you come across somebody like that, you think, well, I've reached this ripe old age. I'm talking about myself here, not you, but I've reached this ripe old age, and there's this guy Dave Van Ronk, and how come I've never heard of him before? The first track I heard was "Tell Old Bill."
Oh yeah,
and I thought, well, that's incredible. It's so simple but so good. And then I did a similar sort of thing. Bought a couple of albums of his.
Very characteristic voice.
Yeah. So, Jenson, imagine, okay, we've spoken a bit about your influences and other people, but imagine you're going to have a dinner party or a barbecue or something, and you can invite whoever you want. They can be dead or alive, and not necessarily musicians, but from the arts world. But who would the top 5 people be, and why? Why would you have them around your table?
This is always so hard, this question. There's so many names that flash through your head, but I think Lennon and McCartney would take up 2 of them straight away.
Right, perfect.
So that's easy, and there'll be a definite, because I mean I can't say enough about. Obviously, I'm not the only one there.
They've been invited before.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, what, another new SoundPod party? Here we go.
But yeah, then I was thinking probably Neil Young. He's very keen on how things sound. He's like an audiophile, isn't he? So it's like
he is. He was very keen on, or rather, he was not very keen on digital sound, and so anybody who's a real vinyl buff. I could understand how ideas would resonate with Neil Young's. In fact, he even helped design some technology which
never really got anywhere, though. I don't know, but every musician that listened to it raved about it, because there is something that happens, and I don't like when you're in the studio and you're listening to the track that you've made. Like, as soon as you bounce it down to a WAV, it sounds different. And I don't know if it's to do because, like, when it's playing out of the sequencer, it's like at 24-bit or something. But it's like scientists say that, well, human ears can't hear that difference. So
exactly. But Neil Young used the term. Yeah, he used the term sensory deprivation.
Oh yeah.
When he was describing the difference between the smooth sine wave and the digital wave. But again, of course, can we discern that difference, or is it?
But there's definitely a feeling. It might not necessarily be something you're hearing, but it's almost like a feeling. And it's like everyone who said when they listened to his technology, it's like they were listening to their track in the studio again.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like, it never sounds as good as when it was in the studio. But yeah, I'm interested in his views on that. So it'd be cool to ask him to play a song. So, and then so that's, how many is that? 3.
Yeah. John Paul and Neil.
Yeah. Maybe Bob Dylan will have to be number 4, because he's just another immense person who's written so much and done so much. But then there's that tricky 5th position, because those are the 4 that are probably the 4 music artists that probably mean the most to me. But then the 5th one gets tricky, and then there's things like Noel Gallagher. I think would be good at a dinner party. His interviews on YouTube I could just watch all day. Dave Grohl I think would be cool at that. And he's mates with Paul McCartney, so they'd get on.
I should imagine everybody would be mates with Dave Grohl though.
Yeah, or Jack White. Maybe he's
another
big influence on me. who I met once, and
Oh, did you?
yeah, me and my brother was in a band who was playing a gig at O2 Wireless Festival in 2006.
Yeah.
It was just when the Raconteurs were starting. His I think White Stripes were still together at the time, but he wouldn't. My brother asked him for a picture, but he said no. He was like, "Oh, I've already said no to 100 people already. Sorry, man." Kind of thing. He was nice about it. It wasn't. Yeah, and I just like went up to him, shook his hand, and said, "I love the new record and stuff." But he's a massive influence on me. But so I've said more people than.
Well, I'm sure there's food to go around. I'm sure there's food to go around.
Any of those could take up that.
Good stuff. So, Jenson, I asked you about what where you played and everything at the beginning, but have you got anything coming up? What's your plan within the first 3 months of next year? You did mention an album. I'm
working on that. It's all been very stop-start at the moment, but I want to try and get going on that. The songs that I initially started writing at the beginning of lockdown, I thought it might be kind of cool to do a sort of really sort of lo-fi album type thing, maybe just me and an acoustic guitar on like an old cassette player or something.
Okay, to give it an old feel, or
just to give it an old sort of an intimate vibe. But the songs I initially planned for that are now being more fleshed out, but I still want it to be quite intimate. So like, I'm gonna get like a pedal steel. Like there's some songs on there that I do want to sort of like Neil Young Harvest vibes.
Strip them back a bit, maybe.
Yeah, quite minimalistic in terms of instrumentation. But I also still got the idea of doing that other thing where I want like just a guitar and my voice stripped down into a tape cassette player and just see what that comes out. I need to write a couple more songs, but I've got a good batch of songs that I think that would suit that. So I might, in the gaps of when I'm working on the other album, I might try and do that.
Yes, sure.
Because I'm getting my brother to play drums. He lives out in the south of France, so it's very difficult for timing, basically. Like,
yes, yeah, of course. Is he in Nice then? Your brother?
Yes.
Yeah, because there's some YouTube videos of you playing in Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, right, okay. Right, that's the connection.
That was when I supported my cousin.
Okay.
So, yeah, my brother drums for my cousin. And, I was getting him to put some drums on my stuff. But it's hard to... There's things that will be like, if you're in a studio together, there'll be things that could be sorted out in... but if it sends it back, and then I'm like, oh... I love it, but I'm not sure about that.
But can you try it this way?
It's like, can I change that? And then he's got to go in again, set everything up, and just
sure. Can you use a bigger symbol on this?
Yeah, like for the sake of something that's about 10 seconds long.
Yes, exactly.
So it can get a bit complicated that way, but yeah, that's kind of also why it's stop-starting. Everyone's just so busy these days. Trying to get 5 people in the same room is a nightmare. Like we've all got. A lot of us have got kids now and things.
Yes, well, we haven't woken anybody up by the sounds of things, or not by the sounds of things. So thank you ever so much for coming on New Sound Pod. Great speaking to you, and we will almost definitely see each other at some point. Hey, who knows? You might play at Black Deer this year.
Oh, I'd love to do that. I'd love to play at Black Deer. Yeah, whenever I see the lineup of that, I'm just like, oh, that's the festival.
They do have a new artists bit as well. Yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah. Okay, Jenson, hey, wish you a good evening, and see you soon.
Yeah, thank you very much.
No problem. Take care. Bye-bye. We're finishing the last episode of 2022 with the title track of Jenson's recent EP, Come Home. This is the track that Jenson recorded with Courtney Andrews as described in the show. As ever, a big thank you for all the support received from everyone during 2022. Please keep the emails coming in, and please remember to hit the follow button and the green bell on Spotify so you don't miss an episode. You can also email the show on show@newsoundpod.com. Thanks very much for tuning in and supporting the artists. Enjoy the festivities and Happy New Year. Bye bye.